Here's a new one for me. This Penn Central Railroad, running number 510. It's made by TRIX. Let's hope it doesn't get up to any TRIX, and I'll try and get it running again. Hi there YouTubers, welcome to my latest servicing video from Sort 6233. And on the bench tonight I have this locomotive made by TRIX, and it's a Penn Central locomotive, running number 510. And the type of locomotive, I'm not quite sure, American diesel, possibly an F7 or an F9. As a model, it looks very similar to other TRIX models, like the Warship, Class 27, bogies with brushes attached to these pickup plates. It's held in by a couple of clips on either side, non-runner apparently, so I'm just going to apply a little bit of voltage. I've got about 6 volts and see if I can get anything to happen. Applying the power, I can see from the meter it's drawing a little bit of current, but I don't feel any movement in the motor. So let's open it up and see what's inside. To remove the body, open up the body shell and ease the chassis out. Now I notice that there's a cow catcher at the front and the coupler is fed through there, so I'm going to have to carefully manoeuvre this through here. And there we have, and there it just looks virtually like a warship or something, and there's a motor sitting in there. Let's see if it works mechanically. It seems to work all right there. I don't know if I can apply power to the brushes. It is, but it's drawing a lot of current, so it could have a motor problem. Okay, the next thing I want to do is remove the bogies. These are fitted in by a screw, which I think should release the bogies. Silly me, I forgot about these pins. They get fed through there. So let me just push that out. There we go. And similarly at the other side. And don't worry, I'll remember to put that screw back in. I'll probably have to dismantle the bogies to lubricate it. In the bogie there's a centre idler wheel held in by that little pin I removed, so make sure I don't lose that. And here I have the motor contact, one goes to the chassis, one to there, and again there's still no response. I'm going to remove the motor by taking off these 2 top plates. Checking the length of the screws as I remove them. But they all seem to be of a similar length at the moment. And one other thing I'd like to do, this is the front. I'm looking for some identifying some identifying way to put these back in again. I noticed this little pip near the front, so this bracket goes to the front, this one without the pip goes to the rear. This should just simply lift up and the motor is held in by a collar on either side. I'll put the chassis aside. This should ease out front and one of these is actually fixed in, so I'm just going to leave it for the time being. And now I notice that there is a little problem. As I rotate the armature, this pole piece is moving, so it's stuck onto the motor armature. Okay. Right, I'm going to dismantle the motor, try and refix the pole piece, and we'll see how it goes after that. I reached the stage where I've removed the link collars from each end, and I noticed that this rear plate here is held in by some steel spring clips at the top and at the other end. So I'm just going to see if this will release this plate. I'm hoping it will. Try another screwdriver. Nope, that's too thick. Try this one. In there. Leave it off. Push. Oops. In here. Leave it up. And push. And now I seem to have freed this plate here. So can I remove this? That's the bearing out. Now when I take this out, I'm going to release the brushes here. So I might as well take them out and save any bother. I'm just going to undo brush retaining spring on this side and this side. And those brushes should fall out. There we go. They don't look in too bad condition. Yeah. So, now let's take this out. And you can see the pole piece has come out as well. I'm imagining it's held in by some kind of adhesive. And so I'm just going to apply a little bit of some kind of adhesive, let it set overnight, and come back to it at some other time. Okay, so see you later. Well, I've applied some Gorilla Glue to the pole pieces, carefully embedded it in there. Will that work? I don't really know, but I'm going to put it to one side and leave it set. So I'm just going to put all these other little pieces into a little bag and hopefully get everything else to work out. I will be checking the armature later on. In the way that these things often happen, it's been about 2 or 3 days since I glued the pole piece onto the motor housing, and it looks pretty solid. All pieces are in there and they seem quite happy to sit there. So I'm going to try and rebuild the motor. I got a little cap of oil, which I'll use as I go along. First step, take the armature, slides in there, and I notice that there's plenty of clearance. When I rebuild it, this brush retaining plate needs to fit in here, and then as I fit the back plate, I have also to make sure that the retaining plate gets clipped. So, in like so, there are two claws, one at each end, and they need to fit over the top, keeping this plate in place and try and ease it in. The spring is getting in the road, so and there, looks okay, so final clip in there, and in there. Right, so lubrication on the bearings. And hopefully this might now spin fairly freely. That's getting a grip on there. Running okay in there, so yeah, don't have any worries with that one. My next step is fitting the brushes, but before I do, something I maybe should have done earlier is I'm just going to clean the commutator with some IPA. Yep. So, brushes. Very small brushes. You drop in on the top. Oops, put that away. And as they are lowered in, I'll try and catch them with the spring. Manipulate it around the commutator, like so. Now comes the tricky bit. I'm going to hold the spring, take the second brush, and ease it in. Oops. And this of course is for happening, so let's try again. Take the spring out of the way, get the brush at a good angle, yeah, so ease it in. Hopefully the spring will hold it in place as I move it down. I'm trying to make sure it sits into the housing without too much pressure. Okay, I'll try and do this off camera, but I don't think it'll be an easy job. So what's happening here? I decided to try and bring the brush up from underneath trying to put a little angle on the ascent so that I catch it with the spring, and there we have it, and there we go. So I think we're now in a state where we can test the motor by applying a little bit of voltage. I set my power supply to 4 volts, so let's see if this is going to work. Oh, look at that. Good kick there. And a good connection. If we're trying to, okay, I'll just apply a little bit more. Just under 5. And there it goes. So the mini TRIX could live again. Oh, well, that's good. It means perhaps I can get this Penn Central to run again. Okay, let's move on to the next section. This end of the motor is held into the bracket with 2 screws. Now this has to go that way. Yeah. So it goes in this way, so that when the motor is installed in its cradle, these 2 plates will make contact with the PCB at the bottom of the motor well. So these very small countersunk screws, so don't quite catch that one. Okay. Gently trying to catch the thread. There we are, that's one of them in. And this one here. So this is now ready to be fitted back in to the well, except for the coupling collars. Now these just push on. One on each side. I'm going to fit these 2 coupling receptors, and notice that they're both vertical. That will make it easy to drop the motor into the motor well. The end bracket fits over the shaft, and there's a little collar there, you just see it, so the shaft will sit hopefully nicely on the collar. And you may remember that I identified this pip as sitting at the front of the locomotive, like so. So I'm making sure that the worm screw, oh, maybe I should have checked that. Let me just check that again. That there, fine, that should go in this way. In. And similarly here, Oops, it's turned. Try it again, slide it in there, onto the collar. That should drop in if I don't move the armature. And that doesn't look too bad. And as I rotate the armature, the whirling screw rotates there and on here. So now I can fit the screws and get it ready for testing. Four screws, one in each corner. Never tighten the screws until they're all in. I use a rotationary method. I go from corner to corner, then one of the adjacent sides. And then at the other corner, like so. That way I spread it evenly, and it allows the housing to settle in correctly. So again, tighten it up till I feel it taut, slacken, opposite, taut, slacken, taut, slacken, and so on. Now I can go round and tighten them up just sufficiently. Don't need a lot of force. Right, mechanically it seems to work. So now, electrically, I ought to be able to apply some power onto this. So I'm just going to set it up to about 6 volts. And the power is achieved through the chassis as one end of the contacts and this copper strip here. Perhaps I just need enough. And do you know what I never did? I never checked to see if the contacts were right. I've got a feeling that the contacts in here may be reversed. I'm going to have to take it to bits again. So as I suspected, the contact plate which sits underneath the motor had been inserted back to front, so that the two fingers that connect to the brush contacts was actually pointing in the wrong direction. But there we go. I've got 5.5 volts sitting on that, and that's running lovely and smoothly. And now, as the French might say, la manite ouvrée, the moment of truth. Will this work when it is assembled? So let's see if we can get these bogies into place. The bogie held, sorry, whoops, there we go, try again, there we go. Right, there we go, there's a bogie, and here's a retaining pin, and you may remember I mentioned these couplers, the short and the long, and I think the short one actually goes to the rear, which is this end here. So we can insert this into the turret, and the pin fits through the chassis. And then just maneuver it, and then it's held in place by the actual body itself. So, can I get this to work from the pickups? I can feel it working, yeah, you can just about see it running. There's of course a lot of extra torque on it now. Excellent. Now let's do the same with the front bogie with the longer pickup arm. Hide the wheel in place, getting in there, and can you see at the rear of the pickup there's this little brush arm, contact arm, and it rubs against an etched copper plate that attaches to the positive pole, and there's one on each bogie. So these are two positive pickups. The negative pickups are fed through the turret onto the chassis itself. So the other pin, putting it through like so. Oops. Contact up. There we go. Maneuver it in. It has to find its way into the idler wheel, which might not always be lined up properly. So let me just check that. It's there, that doesn't look too bad. Try again. And there we go. Try powering both bogies. Yeah, so I'll just give it a little bit more voltage to cope with the extra torque. I can feel it starting to work. Yep. Here and here as well. And you can see the movement. Nice. Right, now I'm going to get my rolling board out and set it up and see how it goes. Well, let's see how this goes. Swing at 7 volts, but there's a lot of contact points between the power and the motor. There's my rail to the pickups, pickups to the rollers, rollers to the wheels, wheels to the motor. So now that I've got it running, I'm just going to back it off a little bit. And that's down at 5 volts, still running nicely. And now I'm just going to reverse the power. And there we go, come on baby. Well, I think we've got a nice little runner here. I mean, that fault with the pole piece coming loose could actually have jammed the motor and caused a burnout. So I think we definitely got away with that. So I'm quite pleased with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up on my test track and let it run round a few times, let it run in, and then we'll come back and see how it's doing. So, catch you later. Well, there's the Penn Central running around. I've had it going for about 30 minutes, a bit in both directions, and it's looking pretty good. I'll just change the speed a little bit just to see how it responds. Speeding up quite well, and if I just slow it down a little, still going pretty well. So, the motor certainly causing a bit of a problem there. This time round, I'm going to switch tracks and let it reverse into the inside track, because I have a set of wagons, freight wagons, suitable. So I'm just going to switch the points there, check the voltage, whoops, and let's bring it back, see what happens. Whoops, I think that's my points rather than anything. And side, and as it comes round into the back, you'll see that it will hook up to a little set of wagons there. I've got 5 of them, 6 of them, including the caboose. So just reset the points again, and let's see how she comes round here. Hooked up nicely first time. And that doesn't look pretty good. So I'm just going to let that run around for a little while, hauling those wagons, see if that helps or hinders or whatever. Most of these wagons are repaired, apart from those 2 white and green ones I've actually given new as a present, but other than that, the local open truck I have repaired. The blue logging wagon, I had to fix something there, and the one, what's that called again? That one there, I had to fix the bogies. And the caboose, actually the caboose came like that, so that wasn't too bad. Okay, let's just run this around for a while, and we'll come back and check on it later on. I'm really pleased the way this has turned out. So, I repaired to the motor, pole pieces come loose. I've had that happen once before with the mini TRIX, so maybe it's something else to look out for. But other than that, a nice little cleanup, and the typical TRIX mechanism running pretty smoothly, and yeah, a nice successful repair. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, then you may want to subscribe for more engaged repairs. Comment, hopefully favourably. If there's anything you want to say, please do so. And give me a like. Meantime, take care people, and I'll catch you next time. So, see you later. Bye for now.